You keep dancing with the devil, then one day he's going to follow you home. See, that line there, right there, sums up the tone of this film. Dark, poetic and full of southern soul. Now, Sinners is a genre-blending film set in the Deep South during the 1930s. This was a time that was shaped by Jim Crow laws, racial violence and the cultural power of blues music. Now, the story follows twin brothers who return home from Chicago with hopes of opening a black-owned juke joint, a place of music, freedom and community. So what begins as a grounded historical drama slowly shifts into something darker as supernatural forces begin to emerge. The film blends Southern Gothic atmosphere, social commentary and vampire mythology, using the Deep South not just as a backdrop but as a living, breathing presence throughout the story. You'll know what I mean when you see it. Now, even though the film is set in Mississippi, the tone and the texture strongly echo Louisiana-style Southern Gothic humid nights, spiritual folklore and a sense that the land itself carries memory, pain and power. Before going on, I've just got to tell you that rocky road to Dublin sinister dancing scene got me. Man, that was perfect. You'll see, just haunting and enchanting at the same time. Now, one thing Sinners undeniably gets right is atmosphere. The Deep South setting is rich, immersive and heavy with meaning. The juke joint scenes feel live, sweaty, musical and emotionally charged, while the surrounding rural landscapes feel isolated and dangerous. Now, this is a film that leans deeply into blues culture, treating music almost like a supernatural force. The songs don't just decorate the scenes, they shape the emotional rhythm of the movie. Now, at times it feels less like a horror film and more like a cultural mediation, and that choice defines both the film's strengths and its weaknesses, unfortunately. Now, Michael B. Jordan's dual performance as twin brothers, Stack and Smoke, is one of the film's strongest elements. The characters are distinct enough to work, and his presence does help ground the film, even when the story starts to drift, as it will in the beginning and the middle. I'll come on to that. Now, however, outside of the central performances, many characters feel more symbolic than fully developed. They represent ideas, community, betrayal, survival, rather than feeling deeply personal. You see, that works thematically, but it does make emotional investment uneven. Now, this is where Sinners becomes divisive. The film takes its time, a lot of time, just like I've alluded to a minute ago. The first half leans heavily into drama, atmosphere and setup, and the horror elements are deliberately restrained, which will either feel patient and confident or frustratingly slow, depending on what you're expecting. Now, do you know that moment when you realise a movie isn't in a hurry to get where you thought it was going? That's Sinners. When the supernatural finally moves to the foreground, the shift is actually quite striking, but some viewers may feel the payoff doesn't fully justify the long build-up. Now, Sinners isn't interested in traditional jump scares or constant tension. Its horror is more symbolic, as I've said, tied to exploitation, ownership and cultural theft. It's like the idea that the monsters aren't just monsters, but are representations of something deeper. That's what I think this film is aiming for. The vampires aren't just threats, they're like metaphors. But the problem is that while the themes are strong, they aren't always explored deeply enough on screen. And the ideas are present, but sometimes feel underdeveloped, leaving the horror less impactful than it really could have been. Now, collectively, critics have responded very positively to Sinners. The film is widely praised for its ambition, visuals, music and performances. Many see it as a bold original take on both horror and historical drama. But in saying that, the audience reaction is, however, a little bit more mixed. Some viewers appreciate the slow burn, the cultural focus and the genre blending, but others feel that the film is overlong and just not scary enough or unsure of what it wants to be. The divide largely comes down to expectations, whether you're watching it as a horror movie or as a dramatic Southern Gothic piece, but with horror elements splashed into it. An interesting fact is, did you know that Ryan Coogler spent 3 years researching Southern Gothic folklore to make this world feel authentic? So, in final summary, what actually works in this film? There's strong atmosphere in centre place, a powerful use of music and cultural history, committed performances, ambitious themes and visual confidence, and the blend of horror and gospel blues music is fresh and the tension never lets up. And also those dialogue lines, redemption don't come free, someone always pays. But there's a big but. Now what holds it back is a slow pacing that tests your patience, the horror elements that arrive late and don't always land, and the idea sometimes feeling bigger than their execution. So Sinners is an ambitious, visually rich film that aims high and often succeeds but doesn't fully stick the landing. It's thoughtful, stylish, and the culture is resonant throughout, but the uneven pacing and the restrained horror do stop it from being a truly great film. So my final score is to give Sinners, looks not a bad effort, 6.5 out of 10. It's worth watching, it's worth discussing, but not the flawless masterpiece that some might expect.